Beneath all the glamour and splendor of Hollywood, it would amaze you to know that not all that glitters are gold, and some of your faves happen to be hated for one reason or another. In today's video, let's look at 20 most hated actors in Hollywood history. Number 1. Roman Polanski. Raymond Roman Thierry Polanski was born on August 18, 1933. He is a French and Polish film director, producer, screenwriter, actor, and convicted rapist. On 11th March 1977, Polanski was arrested for the sexual assault of 13-year-old Samantha Gailey, who had modeled for him during a Vogue photo shoot the previous day. He was charged with 6 felony counts for use of drugs, perversion, sodomy, and lascivious acts upon a child under 14, and furnishing a controlled substance to a minor. This immediately brought hate and heavy criticism due to legal and ethical issues. Polanski initially pleaded not guilty to all charges, but later agreed to a plea bargain that dropped most of the charges in exchange for a guilty plea. However, upon hearing the judge would give a harsher sentence than he expected, Polanski fled the United States to France in 1978 before his sentencing. He has lived in France and has avoided traveling to countries likely to extradite him to the United States. Number 2. Wallace Beery. Wallace Beery was born on April 1, 1885, and passed away on April 15, 1949. Beery was an unapologetic abuser. He had a volatile temper, and many co-stars and family have called him out publicly for this abusive behavior. His first wife, Swanson, recorded that Beery gifted her with a wedding night that was more like a horror story, one that would only end 2 years later with a strange illness and a trip to the hospital. Also, his relationships with his second wife, actress Rita Gilman, were publicly contentious, with Gilman accusing him of physical abuse, which led to their divorce. He often clashed with directors and fellow actors on set. For one scene in Slave Ship, 1937, he had to slap 16-year-old co-star Mickey Rooney across the face. Beery didn't fake the action and, without warning, slapped Rooney so hard he was knocked to the floor, spoiling the take and causing outrage among the crew. Number 3. Jerry Lee Lewis. Jerry Lee Lewis was born on September 29, 1935, and passed away on October 28, 2022. Lewis was certainly a force in the music industry, but his personal life choice and behaviors were usually controversial and shocked the public. Jerry Lee Lewis was known as the Killer, and it wasn't a casual sobriquet. A schoolmate called him that after he tried to strangle a teacher. He once shot his bass player in the chest. Just about all of his 7 wives, including one who was a child, said he beat them. And there's a lingering suspicion that he murdered wife number 5. He was the very model of a high-functioning sociopath, and somehow defied hard living, drug and alcohol abuse, and serious health problems to make it well into his 9th decade. His personal life choices and the scandals that ensued have led to a mixed legacy. Number 4. Jerry Lewis. Nope, not the same guy you just heard about. Because interestingly, there happens to be another Jerry Lewis without the Lee who existed around the same era. Lewis was born Joseph Levitch on March 16, 1926, and passed away on August 20, 2017. Lewis was often reported to be abrasive and controlling on set, which sometimes led to conflicts with co-stars and collaborators. Throughout his career, Lewis made several public statements that were offensive or insensitive. For instance, he made derogatory remarks about female comedians and used inappropriate language. Lewis's work with the Muscular Dystrophy Association, while hugely beneficial in raising funds for the disease, also faced criticism when some in the disability rights movement argued that his approach was paternalistic and promoted pity rather than empowerment for people with disabilities. His relationship with his family also became strained, as he was estranged from several of his children from his first marriage, and this familial discord became public knowledge. Number 5. Errol Flynn. Errol Leslie Thompson. Flynn was born on June 20, 1909, and passed away on October 14, 1959. Flynn believed that the normal rules of life did not apply to him, so he often went against norm, and even his mother considered him a devil in boy's clothing, and according to Flynn, frequently beat him. Entering Hollywood, his life has been riddled with scandal, which has led some to view him in a very negative light. In 1942, Flynn was charged with statutory misconduct by 2 underage girls, Peggy Satterley and Betty Hansen, Despite the acquittal of Flynn, the allegations damaged his public image and contributed to his legacy. In reality, the accusation did not surprise a lot of people because Flynn was infamous for his hedonistic lifestyle, which included heavy drinking, drug use, and numerous carnal exploits. His memoir, My Wicked, Wicked Ways, published posthumously, detailed many of his escapades and further cemented his reputation as a libertine. He was also constantly in debt due to his extravagant lifestyle and multiple run-ins with the law over unpaid taxes and other issues. Number 6. Clara Bow. The original It Girl. Clara Bow was born on July 29, 1905 and passed away on September 27, 1965. Bow never looked like she belonged in the 20s, or even in black and white. She looks nothing like the other stars of the silent era. Rather, she looks so modern. The leading actress in silent film is often remembered for her charm, vivacity, and influence on the concept of the modern. However, her life and career were not without personal problems which at times painted a negative image of her. In the late 1920s and early 1930s, Bow became the subject of numerous scandalous rumors and accusations, including promiscuity. Hollywood's gossip machine, fueled by fierce tabloid journalism, often targeted her, and several unverified stories circulated about her personal life. She faced several legal and financial troubles, and her finances were also mismanaged by secretaries and other handlers, including her exploitative father, who had no knowledge of money management. Number 7. Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford was born Lucille Fay Lesueur in the early 1900s and passed away in 1977. Joan was known all over Hollywood, and her career spanned for several decades due to her strong performances and intense dedication to her craft. As great as Crawford was, she was so intense that she became abusive. Several people who worked with her definitely had a bad thing to say about her. She was beyond intense. Her co-stars, cast, and crew felt she handled so many things poorly. Aside from what outsiders think, even her adopted daughter Christina Crawford had a series of allegations leveled against her. In Christina's 1978 memoir titled Mommy Dearest, she portrayed Joan as a manipulative, abusive mother. The memoir described Joan as an extremely controlling and abusive mother who engaged in various forms of emotional and physical abuse. The book's portrayal of Joan shocked the public and led to a re-evaluation of her persona. Number 8. Frank Sinatra. The legendary Frank Sinatra was born Francis Albert Sinatra on December 12, 1915 and passed away on May 14, 1998. Frank left a lasting legacy in both music and film, but there are some aspects of his life that have requested a more deeper and closer look at his character. In 1938, Frank Sinatra found himself in an unexpected predicament that landed him behind bars. He was charged with seduction, a very serious allegation at the moral times of the 30s. Sinatra was caught sleeping with a married woman in the community. Also, Sinatra famously had connections with organized crime throughout his career. These ties included friendships with figures like Sam Giancana, a noted Chicago mobster, and he was also suspected to be a part of the mafia as he associated himself with them. Frank was also known for his fiery temperament and could be quite aggressive in both personal and professional settings. He had numerous public altercations, and his behavior sometimes bordered on belligerent, leading to numerous damaged relationships. Number 9. James Dean. James Brian Dean was born on February 8, 1931, and passed away on September 30, 1955. Aside his achievements, a closer look at Dean reveals a tumultuous personality that leaves many questioning the adoration. He was a cultural symbol of teenage disillusionment and social estrangement, as depicted in his most celebrated film, Rebel Without a Cause. As a symbol of youthful angst, his way of living was widely criticized, especially when it came to his professional life and his penchant for taking dangerous and unnecessary risks, which sadly cut his life short after a fatal car accident in 1955. According to Spato, Dean was excessively rude, foul-mouthed, and unprofessional, earning the disdain of many co-stars. Productions such as See the Jaguar, 1952, and The Immortalist, 1954, were marred by tales of uncooperativeness and moodiness. Robert, the press representative for the later play, didn't mince words. James Dean was the most uncooperative, the moodiest and most offensive actor I've ever worked with. Number 10. Steve McQueen. Terrence Stephen McQueen was born on March 24, 1930, and passed away on November 7, 1980. Steve was married 3 times, and in all of the marriage, there were reports of turbulent interactions within these relationships, including allegations of physical altercations and abuse. His wife, Nell Adams, bore witness to the dark side of Steve when their marriage, marked by McQueen's serial womanizing and various addictions, took a harrowing turn one fateful night. On this night, McQueen persuaded his wife to join him on coke and, "I wish you wouldn't fight me on this." He allegedly pleaded, "I promise you, a little coke will make you feel better. I don't want you feeling bad, baby. No matter what happens, you are still my baby." As his habit of cocaine escalated, he accused Adams of infidelity, prompting a teasing response from her about a mysterious Academy-winning lover, and in a chilling moment, McQueen, overcome with rage, retrieved a gun from his pocket and pressed it against Adams' temple, and the threat that followed it was nothing short of horrifying. Number 11. Robert Mitchum. Robert Mitchum was born on August 6, 1917 and passed away on July 1, 1997. Robert's on-screen characters often bordered on the morally ambiguous or outright villainous, mirroring a bit of his real life. In 1948, Mitchum was arrested for possession of marijuana, a serious offense at the time which led to a brief stint in jail. There were also allegations of domestic violence involving Mitchum and his wife, which tarnished his personal reputation even further. These incidents were highly publicized and could have ended his career, but Mitchum returned to acting with even greater success afterwards. Mitchum became known for his rebellious, nonconformist attitude both on and off the screen. He often displayed a disdain for Hollywood's pretensions and was known for his blunt, sometimes cynical outlook. Aside from this, he was also a villain in real life. While attending the premiere party of the championship season, Mitchum threw a basketball at a female photographer. The apparently unprovoked attack even knocked out some of the photographer's teeth. She successfully sued the star for his entire salary on the film. Number 12. Faye Dunaway. Dorothy Faye Dunaway was born on January 14, 1941. Faye was an acclaimed actress known for her intense performances and iconic roles in Hollywood, but her career has also been accompanied by a reputation for being involved in various controversies. Dunaway has been reported to be challenging on-set directors and co-stars. She has occasionally been described as demanding, sometimes temperamental, and a diva. Her behavior during the filming of Mommy Dearest was widely criticized, as she was said to be intensely absorbed in the role, which led to tensions with the crew and other cast members. There have also been instances of public confrontations and allegations of unprofessional behavior, for example, during the production of the play Tear at 5 in 2019. Dunaway was fired due to creating a hostile work environment, including slapping crew members. Dunaway's demanding nature and the resulting friction have led to a degree of isolation within the industry. Number 13. Mickey Rooney. Michael Rooney was born on September 23, 1920, and passed away on April 6, 2014. Rooney was one of the most famous child stars in entertainment history, best known for his role as Andy Hardy in a series of films that portrayed wholesome American values. He was one of the stars with problems, as he was married 8 times, and his marriages were filled with issues and discord. At the time, his frequent marriages and divorces were scandalous and drew a lot of media attention, contributing to a negative public image. His infidelity throughout his marriage and abusive behavior further tainted his reputation. Despite his successes, he declared bankruptcy in 1962, citing mismanagement and exploitation of his finances by others, including family and advisors. Overall, he was different from the honest and innocent character he portrays and described as blisteringly bombastic, abrasive, and nasty, due to the unkind remarks about co-stars, including derogatory comments which tore people down. Number 14. John Wayne. John Wayne was born Marion Robert Morrison on May 26, 1907, and passed away on June 11, 1979. Wayne symbolized Hollywood's most enduring symbol of rugged masculinity and American values due to his roles in westerns and war movies. As Wayne wielded his influence during the classic era of Hollywood, his conservative political view and controversial personal opinions created a storm among his peers. His interview with Playboy magazine in 1971 included several inflammatory and racist comments that were widely condemned. His comments expressed support for white supremacy and made disparaging remarks about African Americans and Native Americans. His portrayal of Native Americans in his films and his comments off-screen often depicted a lack of empathy and understanding of indigenous cultures. His ideology made people despise him, and among those who were at odds with Wayne was Clark Gable, and what should have been an harmonious collaboration between both guys turned to a tumultuous relationship due to Gable's relationship with Ford. Number 15. Bing Crosby. Bing Crosby was born on May 3, 1903, and passed away on October 14, 1977. While Crosby is celebrated for his cherished cultural contributions, some aspects of his personal life have come under heavy scrutiny, particularly concerning his relationships with his family. And I think we all know by now that not all men seem as they appear. The sweet and easygoing Bing in his movies was an entirely different person with his family. In Gary Crosby's memoir, Going My Way, he described his father, Bing, as a cruel, sadistic father who beat his sons until they bled almost every day. Which father does that? Gary says, "I only recall the essence of the pain and desolation in describing his father's legacy, while in his lifelong low self-esteem, the suicidal depression." And in fact, it should be remembered that two of Bing Crosby's sons, Lindsay and Dennis, committed suicide, which also justifies the claims of Gary. Number 16. Marlon Brando Jr. Marlon Brando Jr. was born on April 3, 1924, and passed away on July 1, 2004. Brando became notorious for his challenging behavior during many film productions, particularly later in his career. In the harsh light of revelations about mistreatment and abuse, Marlon emerges as a troubled figure, leaving a legacy of pain and suffering in his wake. He had multiple marriages and relationships, many of which ended very poorly, and he had at least 11 children, and his relationships with them were complicated. In an interview for Variety's Actors on Actors series with Jessica Chastain, Rita Moreno shares insights into distressing episodes of her relationship with Brando. In her nearly decade-long relationship with Brando, she discloses a tumultuous and toxic dynamic that drove her to contemplate suicide. This revelation echoes Brando's behavior to the mistreatment of Maria Schneider during the filming of Last Tango. Schneider, his co-star, expressed feeling violated and humiliated during the scenes, raising questions about Brando's treatment of women on and off screen. Number 17. Lucille Ball. Lucille Desiree Ball was born on August 6, 1911, and passed away on April 26, 1989. During the 1950s, Ball was accused of being a communist at a time when many in the entertainment industry were blacklisted due to real or suspected communist ties. She testified that she had registered to vote as a communist in 1936 at her socialist grandfather's insistence, but was not a communist herself. The issue was eventually resolved and she was cleared of any wrongdoing. Ball also faced challenges after the behind the scenes of Here's Lucy, a 1971 episode titled Lucy, and the mountain climber revealed a side of Ball that some found challenging. However, Tony Randall reflects on his experience on the show and stated that while people found Lucille difficult to work with as she bossed everybody around and didn't spare anyone's feelings, Randall stated that for him, her assertiveness was what made her a genius and got the work done. Number 18. Humphrey Bogart. Humphrey Bogart was born on December 25, 1899, and passed away on January 14, 1957. Bogart was known for his straightforward personality and could be quite tough to deal with both on and off the set. He was a very direct person who did not mince words, which some found off-putting and harsh. As much as sternness can be needed sometimes, there were instances where his behavior on set was less than ideal, and this included clashes with directors and other actors. Off-screen, Bogart had his own demons to deal with and kept to himself. Bogart was a heavy drinker. His drinking was part of the hard-living image he projected both on screen and off, and it sometimes led to erratic behavior. However, many who worked with him also spoke highly of his professionalism and dedication to his craft, like many of his contemporaries. Number 19. Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor was born on February 27, 1932, and passed away on March 23, 2011. Elizabeth was a stunning and beautiful woman who always knew what she wanted and never hesitated going for it. Due to this, she was a complicated figure whose life was full of drama and scrutiny. Taylor was famous for her 8 marriages to 7 men, which were often sensationalized by the media. One of the biggest scandals of her life involved her relationship with Eddie Fisher, who was married to America's sweetheart Debbie Reynolds, who was also a close friend of Taylor, and her ex-husband, Mike Todd. Quite complicated, right? However, it seemed Taylor had a thing for married men, because she soon divorced Fisher when she met Richard Burton, another married man. Burton and Taylor began the affair, which made people turn their backs against them. The Vatican even condemned their affair as erotic vagrancy, and they married in 1964, divorced in 1974, remarried in 1975, and divorced again in 1976. Number 20, Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle. Fatty Arbuckle was born on March 24, 1887, and passed away on June 29, 1933. By 1921, Arbuckle was one of the highest-paid movie stars in Hollywood when he went to trial for rape and murder. He booked a suite of rooms for a weekend of partying after signing one of the most lucrative studio deals in history. During the party, an unknown actress named Virginia Rapp ran screaming from one of the bedrooms in pain. Days later, when Rapp died, Arbuckle was charged with rape and murder. Allegedly, his sexual assault, possibly with a champagne bottle, had ruptured her bladder, which led to the peritonitis that ultimately killed her. The first 2 trials ended with a hung jury. In the 3rd trial, Arbuckle was acquitted of the charges because of a complete lack of any evidence against him. The scandal proved to be Arbuckle's undoing, however. He was blacklisted for a period, and when the ban was lifted, he found it nearly impossible to find work. If you like this video, do not forget to share and subscribe. Also, let us know in the comments who gets your votes as the most hated star in Hollywood history.